The Alien Next Door, the New Kid. Chapter 1, The New School. The new kid sat alone in the back of the bus. He was on his way to his first day at a new school, once again. He watched as the other kids fooled around. They giggled and yelled. No one else seemed to be just sitting in their seat, except him, the new kid, once again. Taking this bus thing to school with everyone else is really dumb, he thought. Back home, we got to school on our own, and much faster than in this clunky yellow hunk of metal. And instead of messing around the whole way like these kids, we had time to think and prepare for learning. But this? The new kid shook his head. No one on the bus seemed to even notice that he was there. Here we go again, he thought. Will anyone like me? Will I make any friends? Why do my parents have to move so much? The new boy sighed. He knew why they were always moving. They were research scientists. Their work took them from place to place, and every time they moved, he had to start over in a new school. He had to make new friends. He had to learn how things were done in a new place. Hey, Charlie, one kid shouted at his friends. Did you finish last week's homework? I finished it this morning, another kid shouted back. Right on time. The bus rocked with laughter. The new kid didn't understand. What was funny about waiting until the last minute to do your schoolwork? He didn't like always feeling different. He was tired of being the strange new kid once again. And he missed his home. I have friends back home. I know how stuff works there. All of this is so different, so strange. The bus slowed to a stop and the doors opened. The kids bounded down the stairs and ran toward the school. The new kid got out of his seat. He walked slowly to the front of the bus to exit. Good luck today, said the bus driver. She smiled warmly at him. It made him feel a little better. Here I go again, he thought. Then he took a deep breath, walked into the school, and hoped for the best. Chapter 2, The New Kid. Harris Walker looked around his second grade classroom. He leaned over to his best friend, Roxy Martinez. I heard that a new boy is joining our class, said Harris. He moved in next door to me yesterday. Really? Asked Roxy. Where's he from? Some place called Targas, Harris replied. I tried to look it up online. It's not even on a map. Their teacher, Miss Graham, walked into the classroom. Good morning, class, she said. We have a new student joining us today. Harris whispered in Roxy's ear. See, I told you. Harris, is there a problem? Asked Miss Graham. No, Miss Graham, Harris said sheepishly. Well then, please pay attention. The new boy's name is Zeke. I want the entire class to make him feel welcome. A whistling sound came from outside the classroom door. Miss Graham walked over and opened the door. A short boy with dark hair stood in the hall. Harris could see that he was wearing thick, black-rimmed glasses. You must be Zeke, said Miss Graham. I am, replied the boy. Well, please, come in, Miss Graham said. Why did you whistle at the door? Why didn't you just knock? Zeke looked confused. Where I come from, that's how we ask permission to come into a room, he explained. Then he took a seat at an empty desk. Weird, huh? Harris whispered to Roxy. I think it's kind of interesting, she whispered back. Miss Graham started writing on the board. Please write this homework assignment in your notebook or tablet, she said. Miss Graham, noticing Zeke, looked puzzled. Are you all right, Zeke? She asked. The new boy's eyes were shut tight. His fingertips were pressed against the sides of his head. Zeke opened his eyes. Yes, Miss Graham, I'm fine, he said. I was just writing down the assignment. Zeke held up his tablet. The assignment was there, all typed out. How did he do that? Harris whispered to Roxy. Maybe he has a wireless keyboard under his desk, Roxy explained. But his hands were... Harris, do you have a question? Asked Miss Graham. No, Miss Graham, he said, looking down. At lunch that day, Harris and Roxy sat together as usual. Zeke sat by himself. I feel bad for Zeke, said Roxy. He doesn't know anyone. I'm going to ask him to sit with us. Why? Harris asked. We don't even know him. But he's your neighbor, and this is our chance to get to know him, Roxy explained. We replied. Then she called out to Zeke. Zeke, why don't you come eat lunch with us? Zeke picked up a round metal ball with blinking lights he had on the table in front of him and joined Harris and Roxy where they were sitting. What's that? Harris asked. My lunch container, Zeke explained. Odd-looking lunchbox, Harris mumbled. So how do you like Jefferson Elementary School so far? Roxy asked. It is different, said Zeke. Zeke opened his blinking metal lunchbox and pulled out a large green ball. Pink strings dangled from the ball. He shoved the whole thing into his mouth. His cheeks puffed out. He looked like he was eating 2 softballs at the same time. Without moving his mouth at all, Zeke's cheeks slowly got smaller and smaller. What are you eating? Asked Harris. It's called a dwellop, Zeke explained. It's a fruit that grows all over Targas, where I come from. But you didn't even chew it, Harris said. It's pretty soft, Zeke replied. A few minutes later, the bell sounded. Lunchtime was over. Harris cleared his tray and headed back to class. This new kid is definitely weird, he thought.